Hey, it's Dan. Welcome back. You're watching iAllegedly. And I've got a good one for you today because we may see the federal government limit our withdrawals on bank accounts. And there's a ton of stuff to cover today with banking news and with business news all the way around. Before I get into it, please take a second. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. And today we have a sponsor, Patriot Gold, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But Hugh McKendry, let's get into this right away. Hugh did an interview on Bloomberg, which I have for you below, and he's talking about how people need to be concerned about the state of banking right now and understand that there could be a bank panic anytime. And people need to prepare themselves for this because what's happening with the M2 money supply, which is your money supply in your checking accounts, the fact that this is going down and that it's not, people are borrowing more money and people are pulling money out of the banks like we've all told you to do, but they're putting it into Vanguard, treasuries, and things like that. But what he's saying is that it would be highly likely that there's going to be a bank panic where people are going to be limited on the amount of money that can be taken out of a bank, that the Fed will do this to us, the government, that is. Now, think about this. If they did this for just a few days and they said, hey, you're limited to $1,000 a day out of the account through checks, through everything, think about what that would do as a whole to the entire banking system. It would be over with because you would have people, as soon as they lifted that restriction, it would be all bets are off and all the money would come out. But Mr. McKendry, once again, the article is fantastic, talking about how, I think it would be justified to have a bank run right about now. I think people need to understand the severity of the situation and understand that where we're headed to is something that's going to be very dismal and very bad when it comes to our monetary policy because the Fed is doing nothing to give us any peace of mind right now. That I wholeheartedly agree with. But the problem with the banks right now is that we're being told that this is a very secure system and that everything's good, and it is not. And we have had one pulled over on us. And first things first, I want to thank Joseph for sending me that story. But the next one from Byron, this is unbelievable. The Fed issued a warning. Think about this. February 17th, I believe the middle of February in 2023, talking about hundreds of financial institutions that were in trouble. Okay. Well, what they did was they talked about how certain banks were upside down and had unrealized losses to the tune of trillions of dollars, to the tune of 50% of these banks are upside down because their losses are more than the value of the bank and their deposits. Okay, well, that's concerning. But this report that they issued, which I took pieces out of, the whole report is below, but I want you to take a look at this. I wanted to show you this Federal Reserve report from February 14th. I just pulled out 5 quick little pages just to show you this. This talks about there's 722 banks that have unrealized losses of over 50% of the capital of their banks. This is huge. Banks with large unrealized profits have significant safety and soundness risks. Hello, now here's the worst part of this whole thing, and that is Silicon Valley Bank was talked about on February 14th. They're the 18th largest bank, and they have a huge problem with their deposits and with the loans that they've made and with the purchases they've made for treasuries, and they are losing money hand over fist. They knew about that bank 3 weeks before and did nothing about it. And in conclusion, the rising interest rates are increasing the problems with banks. Guys, this is going to be an absolute unmitigated disaster. Now, this is the financial report that was issued about how rising interest rates have killed these financial institutions. Okay? And there are 722 banks that are upside down right now that have losses that are over 50% of the value of the bank's assets. Okay? That's alarming. It's disturbing. And here is the worst part of this. absolute worst part of this, where we've been made fools of, and that, think about this, mid-February 2023, they issued a report on Silicon Valley Bank. The 18th largest bank in the United States is upside down, and it has bad loans, it's all these losses, it is definitely in trouble. But wait a second, who sounded the alarm for this? Nobody said anything about this. Nobody did a thing about this. So what happens? First week of March, Silicon Valley Bank, oh my gosh, miraculously goes out of business. They knew about this 3 weeks earlier, guys. There was a federal report that was issued, and the idiots are us. We're the stupid ones. We're the ones that are caught holding the bag. 722 banks, guys, that they've talked about since mid-February. But right now, you're being told that everything's okay. Do you not see the concern in that? It's funny, I have such little money in banks right now. I think I need to have less right now. And this is so great, but the report is good. Read the whole report, but it talks about how these banks are upside down, and the odds, that they will cut us off and limit our withdrawals, it's going to happen. If they do this, it will be pandemonium in the streets. It will be completely upside down and complete and utter chaos if this happens. Now, in conclusion, these banks are in trouble, and read the whole report, guys. Okay, I'm just giving you, paraphrasing it, Dan, with my Danisms, but please take a look at this thing, because it's scary. The fact that you have financial gurus talking about how a bank panic would be good, a bank run would be good, it's very logical that we're going to see the banks cut us off. This is tragic, guys. This is the worst thing that could possibly happen. But you need to have multiple sources of your money. You need to be able to have places where you can get access to your money. You need to be able to pay your bills during this time, because that's the thing. They're not just going to have a bank holiday and say, oh, don't worry about it, you don't owe us any money right now. The last thing that's going to happen during this time. So, share your thoughts on this, guys, because it is absolutely upside down. And to say that, I'm concerned would be an understatement at this point. But for experts to sit there and talk about how the money supply is dwindling and all these warning signs are out there, but when you find out that they've been out there for almost 3 months now, yeah, how long's it been? Seriously, how long's it been? They just raised interest rates again. Oh, don't worry, Dan, the Fed's going to start lowering interest rates. Housing prices are going to start going up again. Everything's good. Okay, okay, okay. There are people out there talking about how commercial real estate isn't the canary in the coal mine that you think it is. A lot of these loans are with variable interest rates, which, again, think about what I'm saying. Experts are saying not to worry, not to panic, because these people have adjustable rate mortgages on their buildings. Well, interest rates have gone up. They haven't gone down lately. So they're going to be paying more for whatever they're borrowing. So this is a concern that nobody wants to sit there and look at right now. So, share your thoughts on this stuff, guys, right now, because this is going to be chaos. It's going to be absolutely upside down. So let me know what you think of that report. And is Mr. McHenry, is he right or is he off? So let me know. Let's talk about our sponsor, Patriot Gold Group. One thing that has happened lately is that more and more people are concerned about their retirement. In fact, one of the top searches for Google last month was how to buy gold. Why is that? Because people are concerned about their retirement, they're concerned about the stock market, and rightfully so. You can calm yourself by calling the good people at Patriot Gold today. 888-330-1431 and get the free investor guide on how you can get an IRA or 401k that's backed by physical metals. Look at all the central banks around the world. They are buying gold. Why is that? Because they know something. They know that the economy and the banking system and everything that's around us is going to take a massive hit. Protect yourself and your family by getting yourself an IRA or 401k from Patriot Gold. Call them, 888-330-1431 today. When I filmed a bunch of commercials for Patriot Gold that are on TV right now, one thing I really wanted to stress was the line from the Wall Street Journal, which is, don't just sit there, do something. And that is what you have to do. You have to protect yourself. You've got to take action today before it's too late. Call Patriot Gold and find out how you can get yourself an IRA or 401k that's backed by physical metals. I'm really glad I expand on that Fed report about the status of banks, because think about this. That report's almost 3 months old and we never saw it. So it's alarming to say the least. Joseph, who always sends me great stuff, is a great contributor, sent me a story in regards to the construction industry, which covers a lot of things right now. But there is a report based on the backlog of labor, which I had never heard of until he sent this to me. And different construction industries, what they do is they look at what projects are planned, major apartment complexes, housing tracts, different buildings, things like that, where they're going to need concrete. How much concrete labor, how much framing, how much electrical, how much plumbing, etc. This report shows that everything is down right now. It's down across the country. Yes, you've got a smattering of places where construction is up right now, but overall, these reports are scary because it's showing it completely upside down, okay? So that's alarming, to say the least, right now. When's it going to pick up? Well, it better pick up soon. That's what people are telling me. Like it's going to do it Thursday, okay? Well, that's not going to happen, people. You're not going to see this thing just all of a sudden swoop up next week. It is not going to happen. Construction's not going to get busy. There are going to be major housing tracts that will not get completed, commercial tracts. You're going to see these apartment buildings that they've built, these dormitories that they keep shoving down our throats. You're going to see these not get done around the country. Not everybody's got good financing. Not everybody's a good builder. Not everybody has access to all the labor. So many people don't want to work right now. It's just that simple. I was talking to a woman that runs a cleaning service. Dan, I cannot get people to show up for interviews. And I said, well, wait a second. You got the easiest business in the world. Have you cleaned before? Have you ever been arrested? Did you ever steal anything? Are you good at it? Okay? Show up on this time. Okay? It's not, hey, what's your college degree and what's your background? It's pretty simple. These people don't want to work. So there's that. The trucking industry is having a recession right now, and it is serious, serious, serious. H.B. Hunt, which is a huge trucking company, just posted a first loss for the last quarter for a long time. In a long time, they had a loss. But here's the thing. This is their prediction out of Freightways magazine. If we do not turn the trucking sector around by Memorial Day, and things don't all of a sudden do a 180 where people need things shipped, people are ordering things, people need freight, it is over with. We're going to see more and more and more companies go out of business. Well, guess what, H.B. Hunt? Okay? It's going to happen. Now, the sentiment is shared by the owner-operators, individuals, drivers of America, OOIDA. I think I butchered that one, but OOIDA is the Independent Trucker Association for independent operators. If you and I wanted to go into a trucking business, you'd join something like that. These people are talking about how this business is finished. This business is so upside down. All the restrictions, all the demands, everything that's being put in the individual drivers are forcing them to where they cannot make money. Because that's the thing, guys. It gets to be a point, hey, it's just me and I can do what I got to do what I got to do, and I can just make a little bit of money hauling loads here and there. No way. You got to run yourself like a business. And the problem with it is these people are going out of business left and right. And the Trucking Association says Memorial Day is the key day. That's when all hell will break loose in freight because they're upside down. Now, here's what you're seeing. People are placing help wanted ads, and I heard a company in the medical space, I won't say their name, because they said, Dan, when we get an interview, we schedule 6 people at the same time. Six at the same time, because people don't show up. And rarely, we've had 2 people show up twice and double up. Oh, well, Ted will take you first, and we'll take Amy. That's how it's done, because people don't want to work. for the real jobs. It's crazy, okay? Now, the other thing is trucking in Alaska, you can get a $150,000 bonus for being a truck driver in Alaska. Now, let me give you a couple of the problems. It's cold in Alaska, okay? You have, extended periods of time when the sun doesn't come out. That sounds like hell. Then you have days where it's light until 10 o'clock at night, which is weird. But again, if you want to be alone, go to Alaska and get a $150,000 bonus, guys. Isn't that concerning to you? I mean, that's just wild, Absolutely too much. So, what other industry is going to survive, through something like this? You're not going to see everybody make it. You're not going to see the trucking industry, the construction industry. All these people are taking hits. And the problem with the banks that you're going to see right now is the banks are going to tighten the financing up. They're going to limit payments. They're going to limit the stage payments for these different contractors, which is in turn going to get people paid slower and create more problems. You're going to see that. It's just going to happen right now. So share your thoughts on this stuff so far, but man, oh man, we haven't seen anything yet. But all of this stuff, this is just overwhelming when you think about all these stats and all these different people. Now, here's something crazy with real estate that was sent to me today. And right now, for the first time, you've got 2 quarters in a row where the equity value in America in homes went down. So equity went down for 2 straight quarters. And that's a concern, okay? It's not just a fluke. Prices are upside down. Now, people, if they've had their house for a few years, they're considered equity rich. Under 5%, about 4% of the houses right now are upside down equity-wise, where they bought it at the top of the market and it's dropped, 15% or so on an average. Now, not every community. Vegas has got real problems. Certain cities in Texas, certain cities in Florida have real problems where there's just an abundance of houses, and if you bought it at the wrong time up here, they're down here. So there's that. Now, think about this stat. People are considered equity rich. Equity rich. Pat sent me this one. If you own the property and you take all your loans against it, and the value of it is double that. So if your loans are 50% loan to value, you're considered equity rich. No kidding, guys. So the number of people that are considered equity rich right now is dropping dramatically right now because people are borrowing against their houses. They're taking money out of the houses right now at a record pace, and they're getting the equity lines and the HELOC loans and things like that. Man, I don't know who brings all these turtles out here. Turtles. A big fat turtle was just hanging out there and he jumped in when he saw me. So, but people dump, they get a pet turtle and it gets too big and they dump them in these lakes and they just, live. So the fact that equity is going down right now is a major concern when it comes to real estate right now. And people don't want to look at that. People don't want to think about that. But it's something that you have to look at. You really do, because the loan to value across America is still in pretty good shape. But just like the trucking industry, real estate experts have said we have an 8-week period. If things don't sell in 8 weeks, we're going to have major catastrophe. Drayton Nay, who is the real estate wholesaler, and I love that guy because he's just spot on. Was talking to my daughter about, houses that she's looking at right now. Why? Why buy one when you can buy 2, Amanda? It was just solid advice. But, why would you put yourself through this? You have to buy a house right now? You don't have to buy anything right now, guys. Wait. Pay the taxes. Do whatever problem you have and get that solved right now. That's what you need to be working on. It's funny. I moved over to this side of the golf course because it's safer. And just a second ago, I almost got hit by somebody that shanked a ball over here. So needless to say, I don't like to get balls in the face. So not my thing. Tyson Foods, Another day, another hit. Tyson Foods just announced that they are laying off more people. 10% of the corporate staff is gone, and 15% of the senior staff, which this is all high-end money, guys. So this is all the people with big salaries that have been with the company for a long period of time. And, you know, are we not eating chicken right now? Is that what's happening right now before our eyes? So trying to find this guy's ball that almost hit me. So needless to say, I don't see it. Can a bank take your money without a lawsuit and just grab it? Yes, they can. Great article out of the Motley Fool talking about the right to offset and that more banks are doing this. Hey, you're a few days late on your credit card payment and we tried calling you and without any phone call back, we just deducted it from your savings account. What? Okay. That's what they're doing now. So you're going to see more and more shenanigans where the banks are going to take money from us without our knowledge, without our approval, without our okay, and they're going to have it justified, the right to offset. And this is from the Motley Fool. But, you know, if you are upside down, if you are not paying a car loan and you've got a savings account with 80 grand in it, they're going to tap that. That's going to happen. That's always been the case. But it's getting worse because they're going after people that are days late. And that's the thing. The banks are hurting right now. The banks are upside down. Plus, there's a list of 19 banks that are in jeopardy of going out of business immediately right now that need funding. Okay? In addition to the 722 we talked about, this is stuff that's upside down. This was as of this past week. So, you know, it gets to a point that you should be concerned about this because the banks, you know, they've made risky loans. They're upside down. They're going to get theirs. You're going to see bail-ins where they're going to take your money and convert it to shares in the company. And wouldn't that be great to get shares in a bank stock that's worthless? How about Silicon Valley Bank? Would you like shares in that right now? Oh, First Republic. There's a good one for you. And then as I'm looking for the ball, it almost hit me, but didn't find it. So share your thoughts on this stuff so far, guys. This is concerning. It's concerning all the way around. But the biggest problem with this right now is that the banks are acting like everything's okay. The government's acting like everything's okay. But if the government shuts off the money spigot and the bank spigot and tells us we can't take money out of the bank, all bets are off, guys. It is done. It is finished if that happens. So let me know. General Mills is closing a plant for pet food in Independence, Ohio. 250 workers are going to lose their jobs there. Are you guys not buying pet foods and pet treats for your dogs? You know, Rosie's cleaning up right now. So it's sad, but people are spending less money on the non-essentials. And again, you know, the Financial Prepper's got some good stuff, Chris. One thing he talks about is stocking up on food, stocking up on pet food and your food, and you know, use the oldest stuff first and work through it. And I'm telling you, it'll save you money. It saved me money by buying pet food in advance. I'll tell you that. Wells Fargo, more problems where they're getting fines and having to redress situations. You know, they got $2 billion of the fines at the end of the quarter, and that's a concern. Again, you know, I read this story, I'm like, oh, that's an old story. No, it's from Friday, guys. And Wells Fargo's just got nothing but problems, man. I don't know who would bank there with issue after issue after issue with these guys. So, you know, last summer, we kept thinking that Wells Fargo was going to be the bank that was going to go down for the count, but it's ridiculous. We are seeing record gold purchases right now. Central banks are off the chain buying gold. Think about this. Singapore, Turkey, China, and India are buying the most amount of gold right now, which is shocking. I thought it would be us, but they bought, in the first quarter of the year, 228.4 tons of gold, just from those four countries. That's crazy, guys. So the World Gold Council is talking about how well they did and how they're buying all this gold. That is absolute nuts, guys, that they're purchasing this much. So maybe they know something we don't, guys. I always love the stories that you guys send me and you know, bits of advice and things like that. Judith sent me a story about how I need to be better at educating the young and giving them ideas of how to avoid these, you know, financial pitfalls that we're living through. I am telling you that it doesn't matter if you're in your 20s or in your 90s. There are people out there that will not take anybody's advice. There are people that are too smart for their own good, and it leads them down to trouble time after time after time. Now, Tamara wrote me, and she said, hey, you know, we sold a piece of property. We put some money into a savings account with a Discover card. Is that safe? Yeah, it is actually. But you need to make sure of two things. You need to make sure that when you have that savings account, it's similar to Capital One. Capital One, that online bank, they have what they call Capital One cafes. They've got them in Orange County, LA, San Francisco, places like that. You can walk in there and you can get a free cup of coffee and you can look at your bank account and they will issue you checks where you can write a check from that account. I don't know if they have that with the Discover card or not, but you need to see if you have that or not. That's a big deal. So access to the money. Capital One will give you a debit card if you have banking with them. So not doing a Capital One commercial or a Discover commercial, but just make sure you have access to your money, because there are things, you know, certain federal credit unions that are online and things like that, we don't have access to the money. You got to wait for wire transfers and do things like that. And I've heard it takes 5 and 7 business days. And that's not that long. No, it is, guys. It's not 5. It's like 10 days when you add it all, business days. Okay? Randy sent me a great story about how the tech sector has been destroyed in Denver. You know, they have this thing called Silicon Mountain there, which I hate acronyms and I hate people that are just too cool, okay? And the tech sector in Denver, from reading this article about how they got clobbered when Silicon Valley Bank went down for the count, a lot of them got their money out, but they can't get additional funding to keep their businesses going. So these people are leveraged to the hilt, have no money, but just a great article about how much damage was done when Silicon Valley Bank went down for the count with the tech sector, and in Denver, that is. So what do you do if this happens? Well, that's not going to happen, Dan. What happens if your bank goes out of business? What happens if you lose your funding? What happens if your top salesperson walks out the door? Oh, he loves us. Okay? Seriously, what do you do? Nobody wants to sit there and have that conversation with anybody. I'm going to finish this video with this final story. And Starlink, the internet, the satellite internet service, is being sold now at Home Depot. And it's not a big deal. I was just shocked at the price. It's $600 for the setup to get internet. And they'll finance that for a year for you if you want. And it's $120 a month, which wasn't really a lot. It's not too much. And I've paid more for internet in the past, but they're saying, you know, it's kind of fast. It's not the fastest. And I don't know, I'm always one of these people that wants to get a good deal on something and save money when I buy it. So it seems kind of high to me, but share your thoughts on that stuff. Please don't forget to hit the like button. Please subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification. Make sure you have signed up for our email list, because we are going to just announce very quickly Christmas in May, and how you can be part of that and how you can register for that. Onward and upward. I will see you guys very soon.